Do you think he's ready, Dane? Is there a chance?
I would imagine.
Ready.
Imagine the first sergeant is ready. Doug, let's see what Doug said. Are you ready?
That's that's Professor Rowe. Get it right. That's Professor Rowe.
We want to make sure we have on short sleeves. Okay. We gotta have our shield. Gotta have our dust mask.
Good job.
When you're choosing a shirt, if you watch old episodes of Gilligan's Island, a Marianne style shirt.
Oh no.
Oh, no.
Sometimes your shorts can get too long, so you gotta use.
Oh my God. My eyes will never be the same.
I thought this was supposed to be a family program.
Oh my God.
Captain, I thought you had this handled.
I love
Gosh.
it. Throw money.
Some things you just can't unsee, Doug.
Oh no.
Nightmares tonight.
I hope
Yeah,
you ain't
you and
starting
me
a new
both.
fashion trend for
Those look like-
demonstrators.
Oy
Those
vey.
like part of the demo. It's all good.
Mm-mm-mm.
We got 91, so let's go. Let's
All right.
go.
Drop down to 90.
Demo tonight.
If Doug
We
keeps
just
dressing
had 5
like he did, we'll be losing them left and right.
We just lost 5, right? We lost 5 right then.
The ones I'm worried about are the ones that stayed with us.
Yeah.
Oh wow, we sure did, didn't we? Wow.
Yeah.
All right. So tonight's demo, we'll jump into it. It's on a hollowing system. There's a lot of different hollowing systems out there. I've only ever owned this one made by Carter. I am not sponsored by Carter. Carter's not paying me to give you this demo tonight. It just happens to be the hollowing system I have. I'm going to be demonstrating, I guess what's commonly referred to as open hollowing versus closed hollowing. Closed hollowing, you get that tiny little hole, go in and then take out the sides. And somehow you just have this tiny hole, but a really light piece because you hollowed it all out. Open hollowing, think of it more as any vessel, bowl, whatever. It's so deep that your bowl gouge is hanging too far over the tool rest and you're getting to the point where you're about to uppercut yourself. This hollowing system that I use works really well for that. It'll work for closed hollowing as well, but that's what I'll be showing. I think most of you, probably all of you, are familiar with a bird's mouth bowl. I've used it on my large bird's mouth bowls that I've done. Recently, I turned a piece that was similar. How should I say it? I turned it in the same direction that you would turn a bird's mouth bowl, meaning the log was perpendicular to my spindle instead of going parallel with my spindle. But I didn't really shape it like a bird's mouth bowl. But when it was all said and done, I think it looks more like a dead fish bowl because of the natural edge. So see, doesn't it? I think it's a dead fish. Anyways, this one, I might have got away with just doing it with my tool rest and getting my bowl gouge in there because I wasn't crazy deep on this one. It is about 7 inches. I don't know if you guys can see that ruler or not. So yeah, I could have stuck a smaller tool rest on my banjo and probably got down in there. This piece I showed a long time ago when I did it. I referred to it as the prettiest, ugliest thing I'd ever made. Ugly because of the shape, pretty because of the colors. I also referred to it as a base that would look good for Morticia Adams from the Adams family. But this is crazy deep. There's no way I could have done that just off of a tool rest. So on the high side here, this bad boy is almost 10.5 inches deep. I'd have never been able to hang on to my bowl gouge going that far. If you can, great, but there's no way I could have. So my hollowing system worked really well to allow me to get that deep. So I'm going to back up the camera here and I'm going to show it to you full on from setup. So from where the lathe is at. And by the way, the piece of wood that we're going to do this on I turned it round on Facebook Live yesterday, and then I did post it in the Worldwide Woodturners Facebook page as well. So if you want to see what the original piece of wood looked like, you can go back and check that out. I'm trying to get this far enough back to where you can pretty much see the whole lathe. Okay. I do have a steady rest on there. That's also from Carter. The steady rest really isn't in the ideal position. I'd like it further. However, I reached maximum capacity on the steady rest. So what I actually had to do was take the arms all the way off, put it back where it was behind the bowl, put the arms back in, and then bring it forward. It's probably not even helping me too much where it's at, but it gives me good moral support being there. All right. So right now, I could keep turning this bowl with just the regular tool rest. There's plenty of room there to use a regular bowl gouge. But by doing it this way and with the bowl being this far open, I think it's going to let everybody see the system a lot better. So we're going to go ahead and set it up. So the first thing is to remove your tool rest from the banjo. And then the hollowing system, if you will, or the roller system, it's what is the captive system that holds the bar and allows you to go deep with all that torque. It just goes right in your banjo, just like so.
Hey, Doug, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Is the bar, does it have flat sides or is it completely round? The one that goes into the tool.
One flat side. I'll show that here in just a second.
All right.
So with this system, I'm going to take you off the tripod here for a second, so it'll be a little shaky. It comes with the holler roller system that you just saw me put in the banjo. And then it has a cool little stop block on there. So you'll set that, you'll play around with your lathe, right, to get it set wherever your center is. And there's been times I've had to make little fine adjustments here and there to get it really dialed in. But for the most part, it's there. Okay. Now, ideally, we want to start with a Forstner bit, right? And get a hole in there. A lot of times your vessel is too far though, and your Jacobs chuck, it's just not going to get down there as far as you want it to go. Carter has a tool for that. So here's one of their bars. So flat side, round side. They make a jig that will go on the bar that allows you to attach your Forstner bit. So I can go really far. They make another jig that goes on the end of your bar so it fits into your tailstock. Now, I have to caution you about this. Something that happened to me was I purchased this, used it once, hadn't used it for a really, really long time, and forgot that this went in my tailstock. I was trying to put the handle on here, going, why doesn't it fit? How come I can't remember how to do this? Now, Carter doesn't sell this extra product. You're going to have to go find this one on your own. I happen to have one. It's called a friend named Doug Miller. So Doug Miller's watching me struggle on Facebook Live and types in the comments, I think that goes in your tailstock. Yeah, I felt a little dumb, but thanks, Doug.
Only listen.
That day. So this little jig won't fit through the holler roller. So it's real fast. We're just going to pop this bad boy off. Like so. Drop it to check its durability. So yeah. Flat side down, obviously. Put my tailstock jig back on there. Tighten that back up.
So is that the proper name of that tailstock jig?
Sure. I don't know.
You don't know?
You can find something like that at littlemachineshop.com.
So is that a
It
five
almost looks
eighths?
like something, it almost looks like something you'd call a tailstock extension, number 2MT extension or something like that.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking too.
And then
All right.
just like your Jacob's chuck, there it is. But I have plenty of room to go as far as I want. But now wait, this thing's gonna get a little bouncy way out here, right? So then you grab the tool rest that comes with the system. You find your sweet spot for that. And I'm probably gonna have to make a quick adjustment because I had this adjusted for the other bar. Should have thought about that. It's okay. So in that bad boy, just like so. And then we tighten this on there. Good to go. Now I'm gonna bring this back up. I want it to be flush to take any bounce out of the bar. Grab my shield, turn my speed off, turn. And I'm just
Make
gonna
sure
work
the
just like I would have did.
wood.
Oops, hold on 1 minute. I don't have one thing lined up quite right. That would have got a little stressful for me and the bar.
Yeah.
Take your time.
You take your time too, Doug. You got plenty of time.
Yeah, I just have to talk about some things. Hey, look, that looks more like center.
There you go. So are you getting that position to sit to the right side of the tool rest that's in the yoke?
His microphone may be killing on it because
Yeah.
of the sound of the lake.
Gotcha.
Being that far extended from the rest, do you get a lot of lateral play, left and right play?
With not real. You just got to get it dialed into where you feel comfortable, where everything's tight for you the way you like it. There we go.
It's off center because there's no holding it horizontally on center.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at. I was wondering what kind of lateral movement you get.
Did he say how fast he's spinning?
You broke up. Couldn't hear you.
Did he say how fast he was spinning?
Not too fast. I think I had it right at about 400, maybe 390 something. Not too quick. All right, so now we're gonna take our small bar out. And this small bar is perfectly capable of everything I'm gonna do with the larger bar. Larger bar just goes further into the vessel. And for me, it's just easier to leave all my force set up on this bar and not have to change it all the time and do all my cutting with the second bar that I'm about to show you. Okay, so comes with a nice, this thing is heavy, it's got weight to it. It's flat side, right side, flat side down. I'm gonna be using their brake cutter for now. This is high-speed steel, it's not carbide. You sharpen it like you would any. And anyways, we'll get to cutting some wood. Oh,
Rotate a
and
little bit more. Rotate your tripod. Rotate your tripod a little bit more.
Thing that hits the tailstock, so just slip
So
that right.
Doug, rotate your tripod for the camera a little bit more towards the headstock, and your microphone speakers are cutting out on you.
Okay, how about now?
That's great.
So with this one, I'm going to show you from this angle first. So this bar, what I really like about this one, it does just slip right in. And then adjust it. So I have my stop block set up for this particular bar. And now that tool rest down there is going to be too high, so I'll lower it down here in just a second. Where did I just set that right here?
You're off camera, Doug.
Oh, give me just a second. I'm just adjusting my little tool rest here.
And that's the tool rest that supports the cutter end.
And this bar also has a flat side, right?
It does. Without the flat side, it would have way too much torque.
Yeah, I was wondering how the capture system caught it, so kept it from catching. So it's the flat side that does it.
Right.
Yeah, because my system is somewhat similar, but it has a D bar, and the D bar, it's like that's what catches it, keeps it from flipping. So, yep, got it. Okay.
I have ordered, but I have not gotten yet. It's actually supposed to come in today, of course. Carter makes a swan neck, just like your regular handheld hollowing tools.
Yep.
They make these big long bars, but in a swan neck to do those closed hollowing.
Closed hollowing.
Now that's just a scraper on the end of that, right?
Literally just a scraper. It's a high-speed scraper. It's not carbide. So I just take it over to the wheel and sharpen it. And let me show you a cool little jig that So this is another little deal I got from them. And that hole right there with this set screw, I take that cutter off.
Right. Right.
This
Grinding
holds it
jig.
tight, and just like that on my platform, just like I would any other scraper. It's perfect.
If I might make a suggestion, Doug.
Sure.
I switched from a very similar carbide scraper to using the AZ carbide little hogger. And it made hollowing a lot smoother. So that's something to think about in the future.
What kind of cutter?
What's that?
What kind of cutter did you change over to?
The AZ carbide little hogger.
Okay.
Can you put that in the chat?
Yeah, I will.
That's
then
a
a-
6 millimeter, right?
Yeah, the small one just does wonders. I mean, it's cutting rather than scraping. So, it's at an angle and stuff. It works really well.
Now
But
with this
that works good too.
thing that I've got to caution you on, and I have messed this up myself. It's not usually a showstopper, but it'll jump in, give you the chilly willies. But you see the bar, how it drops right here.
Yep.
Okay. So
Wanna
when
stay
I
away from that.
set it up, if I have this tool rest too close to my vessel, and right now I can get closer, I'm a little far away. But if I have it too close, when I'm coming back, it drops. You see how it does that? And that'll make you jump sometimes. So right now we are going to get this a little bit closer though before we turn the lathe back on and get cutting. We're going to go about right there, I think. They make several different cutters to go on these bars. I've only ever used this one and their round scraper. I have their teardrop one ordered, and I have one of their carbide cutters ordered. I just haven't gotten them yet. This, and then one more thing. So with this scraper, I can adjust the angle however I want. I just loosen the set screw and I can turn this bad boy wherever I want. So if I'm trying to get straight onto the bottom of the bowl, then of course I would just turn it so it's straight. I've tried 90 degrees and it gets really grabby for me. So I like a little off, maybe not quite 45, but somewhere a little offset, not quite 90 degrees.
Yeah, then you'd use the 90 degrees if you were like undercutting the rim of a vase or something like that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so shield down. We're gonna have to pick up the. Now, I don't know how it looks from your guys' angle, but the hole where I cut it with the force, because it was bouncing before I got it set straight, the hole's not straight. I thought the whole vessel was wobbling for a minute. I thought, oh, here we go. It's about to take flight, but it's just the center is the top of the vessel's fine. But if you look at what's going on?
Doug, what size is your cutter?
Say that again.
What size is that cutter? Is it the 3/16?
It's pretty small, so that's probably a good guess. I don't know off the top of my head, but
Looks like it.
I thought it looked like quarter.
Here we go.
Well, we're both close.
Yeah, but a quarter's grabbier.
Depends on how you sharpen it, I suppose, how you grind it.
Sharpening presentation. Yep.
Well, it's just more cutter there, a little wider.
Okay, is he pushing it in or pulling it out, or both?
Both. Push in
Yeah,
and
both.
and he's pulling out.
Okay,
I've actually had more success pulling rather than pushing.
okay.
just because, I mean, you already got the hole there. So, you know, you can.
So he's
pulling
doing
it
a
is easier.
combination. So when he was up on the rim, it looked like he was pushing, and now that he's a little bit deeper, it looks like he's pulling out.
Okay,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah,
If
I
you-
agree.
So,
If you
it'll
push, you
work
can-
both ways. It's like a typical scraper. You'll get a nice cut on either motion, whether you're pushing or pulling.
So
Yeah,
with
and-
this tool, I can, or the way the shape of this cutter is, I can do push, I can pull either way because it's symmetrical. Whoops, there it is.
Okay.
I grind on it's symmetrical.
It's like a
Um,
bullnose scraper, round scraper. Hey Brent, welcome.
Oh, and real quick, I meant to say, when I was looking at the chat, there was somebody in there that said, the Bears, I think his name was Ford. Where are you out in Arizona that you called yourself on the west coast of Arizona? Lake Havasu or something?
Yeah, he's out by Kingman.
Out by
What's
Kingman?
Bullhead City. That was going to be my third city to say their award.
You see, I'm gonna try and bring the phone up closer so you guys can see the actual cutter.
Okay, sounds good.
Let me,
And hey, Doug, he's from Bullhead City.
Bullhead City, all right.
Down on the river. Knock those shavings out of the way. So, hey, Doug, as you're turning, what speed are you turning at?
Let me see. I'll look in just a second when I turn it back on. I think I was in the 9s. $942.
942. That's a good speed for a piece like that. Turn at the speed you're comfortable with. So he's doing a nice pull cut here.
Uh-huh.
And for the size of that cutter bit, he's doing short work of the wood there. That's pretty good. So now he's doing a push cut. And that's typical of shavings coming from a round nose scraping bit.
And so you can get some shavings. They're not going to be as good as you get with a bull gout, but you can get some.
It looks like a fairly dry piece of mesquite based on the dust that's being generated. Just natural.
I need to move my banjo just a second. So I'm just,
So, hey, Doug, what kind of wood you got on there? Is that mesquite?
It's Palo Verde.
Palo Verde. Okay.
And again, if you guys go onto our Facebook Worldwide Woodturners page, I have the piece before I ever started turning it. And then it was a really long live video. Fast forward through it by all means. But I in the whole video, I take it from original down to this shape right here.
Doug, what's your grain orientation?
I also turned this one like a bird. No, did I? Yes, I did. Like a bird's mouth bowl. So it's where's my piths? Here's the main pith here. And there's the other here. So the log would have been, the log is turning this way instead of end grain. I just changed up the shape so it's not bird mouth bowl right now. Okay, so I've gotten all the way down to the Forstner bit went. And I want to show you what that distance really is. Again, with a bowl this size, if I had my normal tool rest on here, obviously I could turn my tool rest and still get deep in there. But
hey, Doug, you got a tenon on that?
I do.
Okay, thank you.
So from where my tool rest is to the bottom of the bowl, I'm about a little, we'll call it 7 3/4, right? So let's see what that would look like if I put one of the bowl gouges on. I mean, almost my entire bowl gouge. Now, obviously, I could bring my tool rest up a little bit more. That would give me probably almost 3 more inches right there. And again, with a bowl this size, I can turn my tool rest, stick my tool rest in there, and that gets me pretty far down in there. But when you're turning one of the vessels like this vase that I did, well, I don't really have a tool rest that I can turn to stick all the way down in there. And so this is where this system really helps me out a lot. And again, there's a lot of these different systems out there. You just got to look and see which is, the best one for you. This one, I bought it brand new. Actually, here's how I saved money buying this one. This is a technique you can use if you have children. You give your kids money and you tell them what to buy you for Christmas. Then it doesn't feel like you spent all that money on it. It's a technique that I use.
What's your kids' addresses?
Not my address anymore. They're moved out.
Yeah. Yeah, how about that?
All right. So At this point now, I kind of did a pretty good guesstimate as how far I shoved that Forstner bit in there, and I didn't really measure it. So that was just some dumb luck right there. I'm not going to go much deeper. I am just going to start working this out now. Now, if you didn't watch the video of me turning this, let me show you what the scary part of this piece of wood is. Let me take you off the tripod here again. Doug Miller saw this here. I'm going to flip my camera so I can see what I'm showing you. There we go. So it just looks like a normal piece of wood right there, right? It's all good. Oh no, we got a little crack right there. Who cares? That's nothing CA can't fix. Uh-oh, this gets a little crazy. So anyways, hopefully it doesn't blow apart. I'm hoping to turn the inside thin enough that this opens up and will act like a window right in here. It's just how strong is this all going to be? That looks really weak. So, and that's what I was about to say. So the fix for that, when I start getting into the scary zone, you just wrap it with duct tape or quite a few layers of packing tape, electrical tape, something that's just gonna, it's not gonna stop it probably from breaking, but it stops it from launching across your shop. Oh, I need to turn you guys back around.
Just throw caution to the wind.
Just throw caution to the wind. There we go.
So Doug, I got to ask on a vessel that's in that type of fashion, you're going to be experiencing wall flex when you start working on your walls here?
If I go
the
to
center mass is removed.
Yeah. And so there again, I don't know that I would be able to, this one will never work out to be like one of those 3/8 thin bowls or whatever. It'll be thicker, it'll be heavier. And I'm okay with that. But you're right, if I got too thin, man, this thing would just start wanting to do that on you.
One of the ways to combat that is, instead of working from the center hole, is work from the top down into the center, from the top of the rim.
Right.
So that you keep things thin and you keep the bulk of the piece where you're turning between the headstock and where you're turning. So instead of hollowing out like he's doing now, you would go to the wall at the top of the piece, and then work your way deeper into the piece, going to the wall each time.
Yeah, I turn almost all of my bowls that way.
Yeah, that's how I do also.
Well, and hollow forms, even with the closed hole hollowing, yes.
So you're saying I would start cutting here and almost leave like a cone in the middle?
Yes.
Well, no, you would work your way down, partially at a time, an inch or so at a time, working. You can do your hole in the center, but work your wall to your thin, if you want to do a thin vessel, work your wall to the final thickness, and then gradually, go down 1 inch, 1.5 inches at a time, but leaving your center mass in.
Play around with that. Let's play around with it and do it. What do we got to lose? Let's go.
All right, well, don't go from the ridge of your hole to the actual rim. Move up to the rim and hollow to the wall, i.e. outward. Yeah, from there to the wall, and then work deeper, and from there to the wall, and then work deeper from there to the wall. And at some point you may have to widen your hole, but you're working, the point is you don't come back to the wall once you get it where it's thin, unless you're just sort of blending previous cuts with the current one. You know what I'm saying?
So you're saying we're going to go ahead and start right about here.
Yep.
The thickness of the bowl was I wasn't going to open the mouth anymore about here, otherwise I'm going to start breaking into this wall. So that's about why I go anyway.
Yeah, you'll have to make room to get your tool in there to get down to the wall.
Okay.
But the point is you don't go any deeper until you're almost to the wall. And this is where a laser comes in, where you can say, all right, I know where the tip of my tool is, and my wall thickness is now, a 1/4 inch or less or whatever. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah. And here, actually, since I'm here now, I can show you what I was talking about what to be cautious where you set your tool rest with this system. So if I'm going to start my cuts right here, look at that.
Yeah.
So if I come back just a little too far, my tool will drop on me.
Yeah,
you
coming
just
coming
pull
off of the
your
tool rest
back.
while you're in your while the tool is in your piece is a bad plan.
And it
Yeah.
makes me have to change my underwear. I don't know about the rest of you.
Yeah, you only have to do that once or twice before you don't forget it.
Yeah, you learn, huh?
Yeah, it's one of those experiential things. Hey, Doug,
Yeah.
just out of curiosity, could you put that tool rest in your banjo and put the capture tool in the black sort of thing in the back? Could you switch where your banjo is with the black thing?
No, they're two totally different sizes. This is way small.
Okay.
That never fit in my banjo.
All right, thanks. I was curious. Okay, thank you.
All right, fix my glasses, shield down, and let's start playing some more, see what we do. It can't be any worse than the bowling ball, right?
There you go. So going from the wall and working the wall dimension down, he's still got enough wood to keep it together. So
I need to figure out what's behind here. Something's not. Okay, that's running smoother now.
So you're saying instead of going from the center out, you're going from out towards the center.
you're going from the wall down to the center.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
And so, and the reason being is you're keeping the wood mass inside the vessel, and that's what's holding the vessel together, and that's what prevents the flex on the walls when you get thin.
Okay.
And so you work to your final wall thickness to include doing any sanding, and then you do another inch and a half down, working towards the center.
I actually work the other direction that he's working. I go inward from to the wall from the center of the piece. So, I mean, you still have to, make room for your tool to fit into the piece, but you want to go to the wall. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah. You're going to the wall to the final thickness.
Yeah, but see, he's going going the wrong the wrong direction, if you will.
Okay, so let's start over. Which way do you want me to go then?
So from here, can you go to the outer wall? Is there enough room to get your...
There is,
Man,
but
he's limited because he's got a big void right there, so he can't go any further over.
I
So
see.
that's his
Okay.
final wall dimension right there.
I'm not going any wider than.
And so from there, he's just working it down. That's his final wall dimension. So he's going to work it down based on that.
Okay. All right.
Once I get past this void, I could probably, play with the wall a little bit, make it have a kind of a cool angle. But if I go any thinner, I'm just going to bust through this right here.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. Okay. And you've got the same bark area on the other side of the bowl too, on the other side of the piece. Yeah.
This
Okay.
is
Gotcha.
that we want to make a window.
Yeah. It seems like you will make a window.
Yeah. So, but if I understand you, Matt, if I was turning a traditional bowl without all this craziness in it, obviously I wouldn't leave the rim this thick. So I would be bringing it over, to wherever.
Yeah.
Then,
I mean, I turn a lot of pieces where I leave bark and I get voids that way. Just, so I consider that a feature.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? But like I said, it's your piece and you're doing the work, man. I don't want to tell you how to do this.
Oh, this is a club bowl. We are turning this together.
All righty.
I just have tools. I don't say I know how to use them. I told you everybody needs a Doug Miller. I happen to have one. I found mine in Kentucky on Facebook. But
You're being awful loose with that name.
listen, you taught me how to sand properly. You taught me how to use this tool I spent a bunch of money on that I didn't know how to use. What would I do without you, Doug?
Punt.
I'm a little bound up. I think I'm getting too much sawdust in here. Hold on. Let me blow this roller up. That feels better. Okay, I think I'm down past it, so I'm gonna make me a mark that hopefully I can see in there. I think right about there. That should look like a circle when it's spinning. So I don't know if you can see what I did. You see that black line right there? So I'm kind of guesstimating on where the bottom of this inclusion is, and then maybe go a little bit thinner down here. We'll see. Binding up again. I'm gonna put you guys on the other side. we're almost to the inside of this hole right here.
Doing good, Doug. Take your time.
I'm gonna run out of air. I turned my compressor off so it wouldn't make a bunch of noise. And I'm using more than I thought I was going to.
No, it's fine. The Zoom will cancel out the noise.
What's that?
Zoom will cancel out the noise when the air compressor comes on.
Okay, I might have to go turn it on here in a minute. So I'm starting to actually get dust to come through these
Voids on the side.
through here now. So that's cool. We're getting there, but I'm not quite. So let me just like. I haven't quite busted through there yet. That's what we want to do.
What happens exactly when you break through the wall? Is that a problem, or does that just, your tool just cut naturally?
It'll
The
just
tool
cut
just-
like you would
Yeah.
any open segmented piece. The faster you
It'll
turn,
just
you're going to be.
it'll just open up the void, and you want to have that void there so you can see through it.
Right, yeah, I got that.
Yep.
The tool, when it's turning though, it isn't gonna tear any
No.
amount of wood out or anything like that.
Well, no, and well, I mean, if you jam it in there, then it's going to give
Well.
you, no shipment moment. But
Yeah.
Well, but you can keep cutting though, and it'll widen
Yeah,
that hole,
absolutely.
that cavity.
Okay,
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what we're hoping for.
Yeah,
think
as the
about that
walls.
big burl. Think about that big burl that I did over the summer. That was void on, left or right of the piece.
As
And
long as you
hollowed
don't
out.
get too aggressive.
Exactly.
As the walls get thinner, then that cavity will get wider, get bigger.
mhm.
Yep. It will be framed.
If you guys look at my little, I don't want to like interfere with Doug's thing here, but you can look at my little picture. I got a piece here where I went thin.
Where?
That lets the chips out too.
Yes, it
Yep.
does.
Hey, Matt, we can show your piece after that, okay?
Yeah, yep, no problem. I'll wait. Not a problem.
Yep.
Just wanted to have something to show while we were talking about it.
Right. Yeah. Well, we want to keep the demo on, so.
Yep, exactly. Okay, no problem.
Yep. Okay.
Hey, I thought I was there, but I guess not. Sure feels like it's right there. Man, I hope I don't bust through this one first, but I do. Oh, well. And adjust my banjo here just so I can get a little bit better angle.
Mhm.
And that binding, it's not happy with that spot. Okay, let's try that. I found it. I found the hole.
Looking good, Doug.
Thanks.
You're almost through. You're almost through. So just keep working that sidewall there.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna have to turn my cutter though to get, because I'm missing the piece. And I'll bring the phone around and show you what's going wrong. So here's the cutter, yeah. But what's happening in order to hit where we want to hit, my my piece that holds the cutter on, it's getting in the way right there.
So you can either, you could
turn
move
the
your
cutter.
capture system. Yeah, you could turn the cutter, or you could move your capture system so it was further out away, you know, to the right, if you will.
Yeah,
Like
I maxed it.
I
Oh,
mean,
that's next.
yeah, well, you can turn your banjo around though.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
actually,
so,
that might be
Oh, I
fast.
hadn't thought of that.
Actually,
so I mean, if you look at Carter's website, they actually show that. They show the banjo with the post on the other side.
yeah.
And so that you can get that way out there so you can get underneath. So I don't know if you can actually do that quickly or not here, but I was looking at the Carter site to see. Yeah, like that.
See, you keep saying things that just amaze me because I would have never thought of doing that, turning the banjo around.
Yeah, exactly. And then you can get a much
Yeah,
crazier
wider
angle.
angle. Yeah.
Yep, yep.
Yeah.
Now, does it have to go, does that thing have to go that way, Doug, or could you have that lever on the other side, or would it get in the way?
Say that again.
For the blue Carter thing?
I think it does, just because I have two rollers on this side. I only have one roller on this side. So
Gotcha. Okay. Thanks.
I wouldn't have thought of spinning that banjo either.
Yeah, and it seems so simple once you've seen it, but it never would have dawned on me.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, on the Carter site, they show doing that. So, you know, that must be something they do regularly. So it gives you a lot more angle.
That's one of those duh moments.
Yeah.
Frankly, guys, I wouldn't have thought of it earlier either.
It's messing with the binding, like it's not lining up for me, right? So I'm gonna now have to fix these adjustments real quick. So one of the other things when you get the set and you're setting it up with your instructions, it tells you to put a piece of paper, one piece of paper in here, drop it down, make it tight, and then slip the paper out, and that's how tight it should be. And of course, I don't have a piece of paper with me right now, but we're just gonna play around with this and see if we can get it's just binding up on me in there. And I'm sure it's because it didn't like
the angle that we just adjusted it to. Let's get our freedom of movement.
Tolerances on the bar.
You want the bar to be able to move freely and smoothly in the rollers there.
Otherwise, you'll are pushing too hard and then it'll break free and then disaster happens. Go ahead and ask me how I know.
How do you know? How do you know?
I've had more than my share of "don't ask me how I know this" moments.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you guys can see, let me see, can I get the light better over there for you?
Oxy and my banjo to the bedways comes to mind.
Anyway, right about where my finger's coming through, I don't know if you guys can see that or not. That's where we're trying to break through. But
You can kind of see it. We saw it when you were on the other side. There it is.
There we go. Okay.
that's what we're trying to break through on. Are we way over our time?
No, you're fine, Doug.
Okay. All right, put my shield down. We're going again. Let me get my emergency stub where I can actually reach it.
There you go. That's what I was getting ready to suggest.
Yeah. I'm trying to be soft and gentle.
Yes. Got to be very mindful of the rim. Don't want to hook that. I've been away from my lathe so long, I feel like jumping in and grabbing a hold of that bar and doing the cuts myself.
Buddy, do I ever know that feeling?
Yeah, I ain't
bet you
saying
do,
I ain't saying a word.
It's a little bigger, but not as big as I wanted it to be.
Make those walls thinner and it'll get bigger.
No.
How's your thickness? Doug, how's your thickness on the other side?
Yeah, I'm
Right there.
checking. It's thin.
It's bouncing.
The rest of that might get turned out with a rotary tool, a Dremel tool.
There you go. Yeah. Don't push it.
Yeah.
You don't need to be making a new rim for it.
Well, I don't think that there's anything else really to demo tonight, unless you just want to sit here and watch me hog out how to do. But hopefully, what I wanted to get out of this was because there was enough people asking about the different systems. I've seen some on here. A lot of people on TikTok were asking about them and whatever. So then when Dane asked me to do a demo, I was kind of thinking, well, what do I do? We've seen me do colored pencils a bunch of times. We've seen me blow up a bowling ball. So I thought, well, let's do the Halloween stuff and see if that entertains, gives somebody some ideas. And it's cool with Matt and Dane and everybody chiming in and coming up with different ideas and part of this club.
How's the
Yes.
motor attached to the lathe? With chuck or is it how do you have it fastened to your lathe?
With a chuck, there's a tendon on there. I have my 5-inch jaws on there. I went with a big tendon for this one, just because of the weight. I can pop the phone off the tripod and show you. There you are. And then when I originally did it, it was with a faceplate. It was with this big guy right here, real heavy duty faceplate. That actually comes with my Powermatic lathe. And then I went with some really heavy duty self-tapping steel screws. These are 3-inchers. So with 6 of these in there, I felt pretty comfortable with the faceplate and the tail stock to get it to essentially this shape on the outside. I didn't bother sanding it or even doing finishing cuts because I didn't know what was going to happen with it. But this thing's been sitting up on my shelf there forever. I've got it. Well, this summer, it's been a year since I've had this piece of wood. It came down in a storm at our, basically where our state headquarters is for the Arizona Army National Guard. We had a big monsoon come through like we always do, and Palo Verde's trees fall over like they always do. And the tree trimmer guys were out there cleaning it all up. And I said, hey, can I have a piece of that? And anyway, took that
They're
one
the
home.
biggest weed of Arizona.
They really are. Yep. They are everywhere.
Well, Doug, I gotta say, excellent demo, and thanks for sharing, the Carter Products captive boring hollowing system. Very interesting.
Yeah, cool
Especially the
demo.
bar. That was very cool about how they make their bar.
I thought it was great.
All right.
demo.
Like I said, they do make this kit for a smaller lathe. They don't just make the ginormous lathes like me and Dane have. If you have one of the smaller benchtop lathes or whatever. But when I was doing my research, watching YouTube videos, talking to other people, it's a really easy system to learn. Some of the other ones require a little bit more finesse, I guess, if you will, to get them to work right. And that's not me. I am not Mr. Finesse. I'm Mr. Let's shove it in there and see what happens. And so this has been a safe bet for me. The only thing I've ever broke on here getting too aggressive is the cutter. That happened because I didn't have it pushed in far enough. Too much of the cutter was hanging over and it snapped it right up. That's clearly user error. The instructions tell you to, make sure it's far enough in there. And I did not do that. The only other thing I did show you guys tonight was switching this cutter out and putting, where did I set it? Oh, maybe I set it over there thinking, oh yeah, I did. The round cutter on there. And again, it's just, gives you a little bit smoother cut.
Yeah, I really like the round cutter. It's very forgiving.
Yeah.
I actually like it better than the pear-shaped one. Sometimes you got to use the pear-shaped one to get into spunky corners and stuff, but I really like the round one. I get some really smooth interior cuts with that. It's a great finishing cutter. I agree.
And then I have ordered the teardrop one. I haven't used it. Whenever it comes in, it comes in. But it was kind of cool because we decided I was doing this demo tonight. So I was able to tell my wife I needed extra pieces.
There you go.
Except for, according to UPS, they're supposed to show up at my house by 7:00 tonight, and it's 7:20. So maybe they're sitting by the front door. I don't know. But I did order the big swan neck bar too. That thing wasn't cheap. So that'll be fun to try out once I get it.
Okay. That swan neck bar you're talking about has like a hook on the end, so you can get even more of an angle at your sides right there at the opening.
Yes.
Yeah,
It will look just like this.
Yeah.
Oh,
you can get around the rim. You can get
it'll
under
be
the
that
rim with
size.
it. Yep.
Well, it's probably going to be the size of that bar. It probably won't be the size of that bar, but it'll be this shape.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Because doing my little,
gives you a little bit smoother cut.
Yeah, I really like the round cutter. It's very forgiving.
Yeah.
I actually like it better than the pear-shaped one. Sometimes you got to use the pear-shaped one to get into funky corners and stuff, but I really like the round one. I get some really smooth interior cuts with that. It's a great finishing cutter. I agree.
And then I have ordered the teardrop one. I haven't used it. Whenever it comes in, it comes in. But it was kind of cool because we decided I was doing this demo tonight. So I was able to tell my wife I needed extra pieces.
There you go. There you go.
Except for,
Attaboy.
according to UPS, they're supposed to show up at my house by 7 o'clock tonight, and it's 7:20. So maybe they're sitting by the front door. I don't know. But I did order the big swan neck bar too. That thing wasn't cheap. So that'll be fun to try out once I get it.
Okay. That swan neck bar you're talking about has like a hook on the end, so you can get even more of an angle at your sides right there at the opening.
Yes.
Yeah,
It
you
will
can get
look
around,
just like this.
Yeah,
Oh,
you
man.
can get around the rim. You
Yeah,
can get
It'll be
under the
that
rim with it.
size.
Yep.
Well, it's probably going to be the size of that bar. It probably won't be the size of that bar, but it'll be this shape.
yeah, okay. Okay. Because doing my little cups there that I was cutting, I ran into the problem where I couldn't get over to the edge enough because I was only working with what was that, 2 inches across maybe at the most. So I couldn't get an angle. And yeah, that hook bar would let me get an angle. Okay.
Yep. And are you turning on a big lathe or one of the little lathes?
I've got a 1642.
Okay. I've never made this myself, but I've seen other guys on YouTube make it, and I've been tempted for little hollowing tools. Where you go to Harbor Freight, you buy their cheap set of Allen wrenches, and
Allen
that
wrenches, yeah.
will grind tips on and then make their corners. I was like, that's kind of cool, but I mean, there's not a lot of tool there to hold on to.
That was
Well,
the problem
you
I
put
ran
it-
into. Yeah, I
you put
couldn't
it- you-
hold the tool once I made it.
Put it into a handle. Make a
Yeah,
handle.
you put it in.
gotta
You
put
put
it
it in a handle.
But it's still, it just seems so small. But then at the same time, so is that little cutter, and it does
Yeah,
fine.
exactly. They work
So,
great, Doug. And you can
Yeah.
also make ring cutters.
Okay.
Yeah, it's Allen wrenches are the bomb for miniatures and hollowing, small stuff. They're great.
Well, cool.
And it's better if you can go to an old swap meet and people that are selling old tools, grandma and grandpa's tools, or folks like us when we pass on and our stuff gets auctioned off. But the great Allen wrenches are the ones that have rust on them because they actually have carbon steel in them.
Okay.
Those will hold an edge.
That's good to know.
As opposed to the new going to the store and buying a new set of Allen wrenches. They're made of hot metal.
Okay. Well, hopefully I'll get this thing all finished up and not blown up by next week's meeting. And
Okay.
I'll sand it and finished, and then we'll see what it turns out to be like.
Looks like
Make
you got
sure
some
you
cool
take that thing
spalting
up.
in there too.
Say that again.
Looks like you got some cool spalting in there too.
Yeah. I mean, it was.
It's the mineralization of the Palo Verde out there.
Oh, okay.
Where we have
All right.
it. Yeah.
You guys know that wood better than I do.
Hey, Dan,
Yeah.
you can get that bar that he's got there. You can get a bar that's got a hole in the end of it instead of that little disc that's holding his cutter. You get a bar with a hole in the end of it and an Allen screw in it, and you can put the Allen wrenches in there.
Yes, you could very easily make your own bar.
Right.
Well, you could fit an Allen wrench. If you get the right size Allen wrench, you could fit it inside that round holder he's got there.
Yeah, that's true.
Yep.
And one other thing, I've used that Carter system. When you were using it there, Doug, if you would angle the tool rest and the holder so that your cutter, when you put your bar in there, so the bar is perpendicular with those rollers. It'll help you prevent it from binding up on you.
So you're saying just turn this and then turn that to match it.
Correct.
Yes,
And
yes.
not only that, if you turn that tool rest and get it partway inside of the bowl there, you will also prevent that dropping off on that offset on the end.
Okay.
That's a good point. Yep. I like that idea.
And I'll provide more support too that way.
Very much.
Correct.
Yeah, one of the reasons why I've got a lot of space behind my lathe is because when I use my own similar system is I'm off and have that end, the far end of my boring bar way out and the tool rest turned also. So that's a good point. Excellent point.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I have to take my tailstock off because the bar bumps into it.